Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. We now have seen the 10 installments of the Michael Jordan documentary, and I think we would all agree that it was pretty impressive. As Northern Ohio residents, many of us forgot just how good he was when LeBron James came along. Maybe I'm still upset that LeBron left us a second time without going after a second straight title, or even more. I think many of us forgot just how good Jordan was. Sure, he missed some big shots along the way, but I think he made everybody better when he needed to, something I'm not sure that LeBron James did at all times. Doug Lesmerises here. More Sports and Less Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Less Levine, it's a Monday night. It's a brand new week. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Less Levine into its 24th consecutive year, and it's powered exclusively by cleveland.com. Doug Lesmerises is with us. Doug, how you doing? Your family and everybody holding up all right?
We're hanging in, Les. I appreciate it. Hope you're well.
Yeah, doing okay. Doing okay under the circumstances. Getting to see some movies that I haven't seen. Some good, some bad. We'll talk about that some other night. Did you follow the Jordan? Did you see all 10 events of the Jordan documentary?
Very closely. I think as I mentioned here, may have mentioned here before, I covered the Bulls for about a year, very early in my career. So I kept looking for my elbow in a pack of media. I did not see my make an appearance in the documentary, but I was there. I covered most of the 5th title and the beginning of the 6th title, and I left before the playoffs for another job.
Did you learn anything that you didn't know covering that team so close?
No, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Maybe I still don't know what I'm doing. So I was far from an insider. I was standing in the 3rd row of the pack of media back then. But I think the thing that's most interesting to me, the comparison you made off the top about LeBron and Michael, and again, everyone's making all those comparisons. I think LeBron James is probably a better person than Michael Jordan. I think Michael Jordan is probably more ruthless than LeBron James in terms of having that maniacal edge to win, in terms of not caring what anybody thinks about it, in terms of holding grudges. And I think that's some small factor in how you judge them or how you view them on the court. Listen, Michael Jordan didn't open a school. He didn't do what LeBron James did off the court. He didn't have a wider view of the world that LeBron James clearly had. And you can agree or disagree with LeBron, but you can't deny that he has a bigger view about society than Michael Jordan certainly ever shared with us or ever shared in that documentary. And that takes a tiny smidgen away from your hyper maniacal focus on only basketball. And when you're talking about the best of the best, I think that probably gives Michael Jordan is part of the edge that Michael Jordan has on LeBron. But man, LeBron does think about things other than basketball, I think, more than Jordan.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I think to your point earlier that I think LeBron just wanted to be loved by everybody. Didn't necessarily know how to go about it, but I think that was important to him, and I don't think Michael cared at all. What I also forgot was how skinny he was when he first came to the NBA. You know, you always see the LeBron James high school picture or junior high or whatever, and Michael didn't seem very big at that point. You can understand why maybe he went number 3. But speaking of big guys and small guys, turning our attention to the Browns and what they're going to do. They still have some moves to make. They drafted Jedrick Wills and they signed Jack Conklin to a big free agent deal. The 2 biggest holes in the line were filled, and now there's a chance you got Larry-Warford out there. And Steve Ruiz says that if they can sign Warford, you're looking at the winning the off-season 2 years in a row. Well, you know how good that did last year. They were 6-10. Is this a guy they should go after? Or are you okay from a dollar standpoint, or are you okay with what they have right now?
I think we've talked before, you know, every team has holes. No team is completely stacked at every position. So They are uncertain at right guard, but that's okay. They filled other priority things. I think my answer is probably what a lot of people's answer is. It depends on the price. And yes, they have some room to maneuver. But I also think they actually have a little bit invested at right guard already, right? I mean, they traded a couple picks to get Wyatt Teller
right
right before the season started last year. Not a ton of investment, but they gave up some picks for him. Drew Forbes, they took a shot on in the draft, and then he got hurt last year. We haven't really seen what he might be. I think people thought maybe he was a smart sort of dark horse pick last year. They redid Chris Hubbard's deal, but they kept him around. I think Chris Hubbard certainly is a better option as a backup tackle than he is as a starting guard. But, I think there's enough options that I think they can patch it together at right guard with how much of an emphasis they put on tackle. So I don't feel a strong imperative to go get Larry-Warford, but I'm also not turning up my nose at a 28-year-old guy. If he was 34, I don't think you're doing it. I don't think Andrew Berry's – he's still pretty young, though.
Well, according to Steve Ruiz, that Warford is one of the slower guards in the league, but he still is terrific at blocking on zone plays. He finished, according to Pro Football Focus, the 10th best guard in the 2019 season overall, and Teller, who you had mentioned, finished 55th. So it would be an upgrade if they could get him. And there's you see the story about him right there. But I think it's an interesting move, and we probably had, since the free agency started, probably 7 or 8 legitimate players out there who could have been a Cleveland Brown. And in the meantime, here we are in mid-May, and nothing has happened at that point. And maybe the Browns are okay with what they have right now. If so, why make a move?
Yeah, I mean, I think because you're kind of always right. I mean, you're like kind of scooping the bottom of the ocean, and if there's a fish down there that's interesting, then I think you scoop them up. But we sort of went through this last offseason, right? I mean, I can't remember everybody, but some of the defensive line people, was it Gerald McCoy or some of the other people that I think the attitude a lot is like, well, if the Browns can get him on the cheap, why not? And it's like, well, you can't get him cheap. Somebody else is going to give him more money or give up more to get him. So, if we're talking about like, well, if you can get Larry-Warford practically for free, you may as well take him. But I would imagine there might be teams with even bigger needs on the offensive line. Listen, when you have a plan, you don't always just sort of have unplanned things. It's like, well, no one thought he was going to get released, but Andrew Berry's had a plan. And so, like, I'm all for him. We have a plan. He's not in it. Our plan is go forward with what we have at right guard, and we think we'll be okay. If it's absolutely a no-risk flyer, go ahead. But I doubt that that's going to be the case. I think some other team will give him more than what the Browns would do.
It's funny when fans talk about it, they just think of it in terms of money. They don't think in terms of if the guy's any good, because I'm not sure the average fan can look at certain positions and know the difference between a good one and a bad one. I think they, in their own minds, I think they all interchange them, and money becomes the only object here. And that. Go ahead.
This is not a perfect assessment, but I think in general, I would advise fans that the best way to build your team is to not gather up all the guys that other good teams cut. So it's like, oh, Saints are really good. They didn't want him anymore. Let's get him. I mean, like,
let's give him all the money in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay. I mean, that does happen sometimes too, right? I wanted Malcolm Jenkins. The Eagles weren't going to pay him. I wanted Malcolm Jenkins. So it can work at times that smart teams get rid of guys because of their own reasons, and then another smart team can pick him up. But also, draft guy 10th, sign the best tackle in the offseason, sign the best tight end, do things with precision. I don't know that Andrew Berry is going to be much of a scooper of guys who happen to be out there. I think he's going to be a little more precise with what he does.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Doug Lesmerises here. If you want to email us during the show, you can do that at real-les-levine@gmail.com. I think you're going to like some of the things you're going to hear in the next couple of segments. Somebody thinks that Odell Beckham Jr. is going to have a fantastic year. We'll look into that and much, much more. We'll take a look at some bad coaches the Browns have had since their return in 1999. Did you know the Ohio Lottery has paid out over over $1 billion in winnings over the last 6 months. People are winning in record numbers. Winning is happening every day around the state of Ohio. Play an Ohio lottery game and play it today. Facebook.com is where you can find us, and Facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine with new content posted every day. Here's how it works. You go to Facebook, you respond to our question of the day, and we read your name on camera. What could be better than that? Doug Lesmerises and I return in a moment. More Sports and Less Levine, powered exclusively by cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Birthdays for today, May 18th. Brooks Robinson, best defensive third baseman I've ever seen. Reggie Jackson on the left. 1947, Patty Melt. We thought we'd sandwich her in there. Donyell Marshall, former Cavalier. Vince Young and Joakim Soria, all born on the 18th of May. 216-575-0403. Doug Lesmerises with us. Did you get a good chance to see Brooks Robinson over the years?
No, I grew up in Pennsylvania, a big Phillies fan, though. So I watched Mike Schmidt, who probably is next among great defensive third basemen.
Yeah.
Brooks is a little old for me.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. We're going to get into venues and where, if baseball comes back, where it's going to play and all. In your years of either as a fan or covering games in any sport, what was your favorite 2 or 3 top venues?
I mean, I will say I was covering baseball in the late 90s, sort of during that ballpark boom, and it reached the point where, like, everything was cool. Like, that's the thing. I think there was that era in baseball where, you know, I remember going to San Francisco for the first time, right on the water like that. That was great. And I think Pittsburgh's ballpark, situated with, like, the bridges behind it, always felt like, to me, like, with the new Pittsburgh park, it's not new anymore, but, like, they built a ballpark and then they built a city around it to make it look cool.
Right.
Forest Field is tremendous. I mean, obviously Camden Yards in Baltimore is great. There was just this time in baseball where, you know, if you didn't have a great park, you kind of felt stupid because there were so many new great ones. I went to college in Chicago. I based my class schedule in college around going to Wrigley Field.
Good for you.
And I will end forever that there is no better seat in baseball than the bleachers at Wrigley Field.
Absolutely, on a hot day. All right, so here's what's happening, it seems to me, that these national guys starting to come around on the Cleveland Browns. I think it's kind of easy from the distance to blame it on Freddie-Kitchens and come to the defense or offense of Odell Beckham Jr. And it now looks like a lot of the national guys who had been critical are not so critical anymore. Jake Nichols is a columnist for the NFL Analysis Network. He says that Odell Beckham is going to be a huge part of the Browns' offense, being a top 3 NFL offense. He says that Kevin-Stefanski is a great offensive mind. Getting rid of Freddie-Kitchens will be a major addition by subtraction. Beckham will get back on track with a huge season, at least 90 catches, 1,200 yards, and 12 touchdowns. Agree or disagree, Doug Lesmerises? Are you there? 216-575-0403 is the number to call. We'll get him in as soon as we can. Tomorrow night, Bud Shaw will join us. D-Man Dennis Maniloff on Wednesday. Mary Kay Cabot on Thursday night. That's coming up this week. Doug Lesmerises is with us now, and we're still trying to get him. And when we do, we'll talk about what he thinks. A little bit later, we're going to talk about the worst coaches in NFL history and see where somebody ranks the Browns since they came back in 1999. So I think you'll be able to figure out who number 1 is. That probably isn't all that tough. A little bit later, we'll get into the Facebook question of the day, and that was, what was your reaction to this week's spectatorless sports events, and what do you expect to see in the future, if anything? And that'll come up momentarily. Doug Lesmerises, Cleveland Plain Dealer and cleveland.com, is with us. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. And let's take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. Northeast Factory Direct, 3 great locations, plus the website is where you got to go. East, west, and south. South, of course, in Macedonia. It's Northeast Factory Direct with the lowest price guarantee, good for 1 year. We'll come back in a moment. Doug Lesmerises with us. More Sports and Less Living continues, powered by cleveland.com.
Celebrate Naturestone's 30-year anniversary with a free Naturestone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making Naturestone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say it's not just a floor. Wow, it's Naturestone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Time for a How Come Quickie. How come if nobody reaches first in a game, it's a perfect game for the pitcher, but it's an imperfect game for the batters? 216-575-0403. Doug, we lost you, but we got you back. Sorry, I thought you were shocked by the question and couldn't respond.
I'm out. I refuse to discuss Odell. It's storming like down here.
Oh, is that right? All right, let's go back to the Odell Beckham thing, where I said that it seems like all the national guys are coming around as far as the Cleveland Browns are concerned, finding an easy outlet, and that would be Freddie-Kitchens for the problems. You subscribe to that, or you think Freddie was just one of several?
I think everything went wrong last year, right? I mean, I think that's part of why I think it's very reasonable to expect a big bounce back from Odell, because I don't think it was just freddie-kitchens. I think the tackles weren't very good, so Baker wasn't as comfortable in the pocket. I think Baker didn't have a great year for many reasons. I think Odell's injury and the fact that he didn't play in any preseason game was an issue. I think almost everything went against them. And I think some small part of it, when Odell got traded here, my big thing was, listen, Eli Manning was not the most accurate quarterback in the world. And I thought coming to play with Baker, who really was a pretty accurate guy as a rookie, I thought Odell would really welcome that. And then Baker wasn't super accurate last year. So you just look across the board at Odell. Yeah, he got to 1,000 yards, but 1,000 yards in a 16-game season is not a threshold really for a good receiver anymore. He had more yards in 4 fewer games the year before. In every major statistical category, he had his worst year last year. And it's not that he lost it. I just think the injury led to a lack of connection with the quarterback, who was not comfortable in the offensive system, who did not have an offensive line playing very well in front of him. And I think like on 4 different levels, you would see how, well, that's better. Well, that's better. Well, that's better. Well, that's better. So freddie-kitchens is a part of it, but I think there's a lot more that goes into it. And I think absolutely a much better Odell in 2020 makes a lot of sense.
All right, let me throw something up against the wall, see if it sticks with you. And that is that Baker Mayfield had said something in between season 1 and 2 that he thought it was too easy, or going to be too easy. And so maybe that's one of the reasons he had a problem last year. I suggest that if that's the case, that might be the best thing that ever happened to him, because had he had 2 good years in a row, number 3 would have seemed easier to him, and it's not in the NFL. But maybe after having a good one and a bad one, maybe that centers him and focuses him more on season number 3, and it might work out better for everybody involved.
Lots of good quarterbacks have rough years early in their career. I did a story on it last year. I mean, you can run down the list. Tom Brady had a rough year early on. Brett Favre had a rough year. Russell, it's almost everybody. Year 2, year 3, you reach the point, and I think what you're saying, Les, is right, where all of a sudden it's not as easy as it seems. And then you have to adjust to that. So there's no guarantee. I mean, there's a lot of bad quarterbacks who had bad years early on, and it was the beginning of a decline that led to the end of their career. So it's not a guarantee that Baker's going to come back and be great, but it's very reasonable to have an early bump. And so I think I do expect much more from both of them, and it obviously is clearly connected. And I just think so much of it, and I don't even know if Kevin-Stefanski would say it, or if Andrew Berry would say it, or Baker would say it. I think so much of it is connected to those tackles. Man, whatever the stats showed, I just felt like Baker didn't trust his line, and Baker didn't trust his protection. And if you're going to let Odell maneuver and be his best, you've got to have a quarterback who feels comfortable in the pocket, so he allows Odell to get open and make plays. And I think that whole thing was off last year, and you can see why it should be better in 2020.
Well, one of the reasons is he won't have freddie-kitchens around. But so a website called New Arena has put out the worst 100 coaches in the NFL history. Now, this happens to be the Browns since they came back in 1999, and here are the records. When you scan that list, is there anyone that you think, if given another year or so, could have been better? I've got one. I've got one. I say Eric Mangini would have had a better finish had he been allowed to stay.
You put up this list. I thought this was the list. This is the list of the worst football coaches ever, and they're all Browns coaches.
Well, no, it's not. This is just the Browns since '99, but obviously the worst out of this group has to be Hue-Jackson, right? Or can you defend him in any way?
Oh, God, no. If you're looking for someone to defend Hue-Jackson, you need another guest. Listen, did anybody on that list go on and do anything better as a head coach? I mean, Romeo-Crennel went to Kansas City, right? Didn't really do any better. I mean,
right.
that's the thing. I mean, I think we talk about with a lack of patience in Cleveland with coaches and GMs. Man, you could argue some of those guys should have been fired fast. The big issue is not patience. The big issue is bad hires. The big issue is hiring coordinators that you think are ready to make the step to head coach, and they really weren't. I think maybe the guy, although Mike Pettin is having success as a defensive coordinator now, he's not a head coach again. If you let Mike Pettin go and keep Kyle Shanahan or keep a sharp young offensive mind that he's willing to give control of the offense to, I think maybe that would have had a better shot. But I think it's hard to argue for any of those guys that they were fired too soon.
All right, so they've got this new arena website, has Romeo-Crennel as the 29th worst coach in NFL history. That's number 29. Pat-Shurmur is number 14, and that, I believe that's based on pretty much what he did in New York. I'm not so sure that these people even know that Pat-Shurmur was here in Cleveland, but he wasn't very good when he was here, but it clinched his space. A guy like that probably won't get another job opportunity, and it's too bad. He actually was a nice guy. It's just that some of his quotes taken out of context or in context made him look a little bit slow. And then you've got Hue-Jackson, a sweet guy. How about that on a resume? A sweet guy. Would you like that on yours?
I'm not a sweet guy, and I'm not sure that it's incidental that I keep hearing about Bill Belichick. And I know, I mean, again, talking about coaches who didn't make it in Cleveland, nice is not real high on my list of attributes that I'm looking for in successful NFL head coaching.
216-57.
I don't know. It's like in college football, they start talking about the grade point average of your players, you know you're dead as a college football coach. When they start talking about how nice you are as an NFL head coach, you're a goner, baby.
No question about that. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can explore your interests and find a program that fits your needs, a path to a bright future. That's from Tri-C. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses in over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu for more information. Doug Lesmerises and I return in a moment. More Sports and Les-Levine, powered exclusively by cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Brown's Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week, and it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
Here, let me show you how this works.
it takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
This date in sports history, in 2004, Randy Johnson, age 40, becomes the oldest of 17 pitchers who tossed a perfect game in Major League Baseball. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Email us during the show at real-les-levine@gmail.com. Doug Lesmerises is with us. We're also bringing in Mike Masetta from Nature Stone. It's not a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Les. How are you tonight?
Good. Say hi to Doug.
Hey, Doug. How are you?
Hey, Mike. Good to see you.
All right. What's going on this past week? As nothing's happening in sports yet. So anything going on at the Masetta household?
Well, we just got finished with our first baseball training session. So we're starting to get back into the flow. And I think the 26th they opened up youth baseball and softball. So I know my kids are kind of excited about that and looking forward to get back on the diamond. So that's been a lot of the talk this weekend at the Masetta household.
To either of you two guys, do you think it's coming back too soon, too late, or just about right? Doug, how about you?
I think it's a little soon, but I think if people are smart about their mask use and their social distancing, I mean, it feels like outdoor is certainly less of a risk than indoor. So I just hope that's the thing, right? If people are smart about it and you get good results and you don't see a spike, then it's going to lead to other things. If we open stuff up and all of a sudden there's a spike, then it's going to get pulled back again. But we got to try at some point.
Yeah, my concern is I see an awful lot of people not putting a mask on and going into buildings. It's kind of scary to see, but everybody can do their own thing, I suppose. Mike, how about your kids? Are they adapting to this okay? I know this is such an important time for kids who play sports because some of the great memories of junior high and high school and all that coming from the activity on the field. Do you think they'll overlook this and move on and not have too much trouble from it?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I think it remains to be seen. I agree with Doug 100%. Safety comes first, and the precautions need to be there. I think that what the governor's doing and the council that he has for all this is really, really good. We're certainly not getting back and just going right on the field. There's a lot of protocols that are being put in place to make it as safe as possible. Not only for the players on the field, but for the umpires and the coaches and the fans and everybody else who are going to be at the games. So I actually think that this is an unprecedented situation, and I think that this is probably something that they'll remember for the rest of their lives. I mean, when they go back, like for example, the kids that are graduating from high school this year, they're going to be a class that never really got to have a formal graduation, and that's could be very memorable for them, both in a positive and a negative way. So we'll see.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Hey guys, if baseball gets going with an 80-game season, as we're hearing, or what it sounds like, do you both think that they'll actually play the whole season, or do you think they're going to have to shut it down at a moment's glance? Well, Mike, how about you? You think they get the whole 80 games in if that's what the schedule calls for?
You're talking about because of time frame, because of the winter months and so forth that come into play? If
it's too soon. Football seems to be more prepared and they have more time. But I'm talking about, do you think baseball's plan, if this is what we know about it, is a real plan, if it'll see its way to fruition?
I think that baseball will move forward with something. I don't know if it will be an 80-game season or, it could be that they just play games in Arizona and Florida where the governors allow them to come in and play. I don't know, but I do think that baseball will do something, and you will see baseball played professionally this year. I don't think that they'll have fans in the stands, though. I don't think that you'll see that. I think what you'll see is a lot of they'll charge people a gate price through the various television outlets to be able to watch the game.
Right. Doug, you said something on the show about a month or so ago, and I've used what you said several times, and that is that even if it doesn't make it to what seems to be a full season or what they'll call a full season, you thought for the morale of the country, we just need to see games. You still follow that?
Yeah, I think as we see this with the country opening up, and baseball is going to go along with it, right? So we're going to see it unfold as we see it unfolded in our own lives. I think we all should be prepared for something to go wrong. Not like tragically, but for instance, the hard thing about this is there's safety and there's smart, common sense decisions, but there's also competitive balance. And I don't know that anyone's going to view a positive COVID-19 test as the same as an injury, right? It feels more like happenstance. It feels like maybe you got unlucky, maybe someone around you. So what if Francisco Lindor and Jose Ramirez get it, right? And they're quarantined for 14 days. Now, are the Indians supposed to keep playing and losing because they're best, or even if they don't get that, I think is the thing that we're going to reach a point where safety and then competitive balance, we're going to have to figure that out, because I don't think that we can assume baseball's going to start up and play 82 games and no one's going to have an ill effectiveness.
No, the odds you're talking
so
about.
We're all just going to have to.
Yeah, you're talking about 1,000 ball players without the umpires and everybody else involved. The odds of all of them skating through here without a positive result, I wouldn't go that way. I wouldn't think that would happen. Mike, anything else you want to wrap this up with?
No, I just, again, there's a lot of moving parts to this baseball thing. Even if Major League Baseball opens up baseball to be played, there's governors in certain states that may not allow those fields to take part in it. So you'd have, certain teams not being allowed to play in their own home parks. So it's going to be interesting, and there's going to be a lot of moving parts here in order to get that done, in my opinion.
Doug, I got a column idea for you. If Cesar Hernandez, the second baseman for the Indians, if the Indians win the World Series, it's possible that he'd be on a World Series championship team without ever setting foot in Cleveland.
Wow.
So
all right.
A column idea for you. All right. Hey, Mike, stay safe out there, you and the kids and your whole family, and we'll talk to you soon. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
You got it, guys. Thanks for the time. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Thank you, Mike. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Northeast Factory Direct. They've got the 3 locations: West on 40th Street, Lakeland Boulevard, Freeway Drive, that's in Macedonia, and the website, of course, northeastfactorydirect.com. The Sokolowski's University Inn, they're waiting to get the actual word when they can get going. As soon we'll announce it here when you can. That's one of the first places you're going to want to go. That's located in Tremont, established in 1923. Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's University Inn. We'll come back in a moment. Doug Lesmerises with us. More Sports and Les-levine is powered by cleveland.com.
Your home is your most important investment, and your basement is the go-to part of your home. It's your children's rec room. It's where your family and friends spend time together. It's much more than just a basement. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic Nature Stone basement floor. And every Nature Stone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive mini pearl stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot, plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at baker-mayfield.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
We've got a Facebook question of the day we'll get to. This date in Les-Levine history, 1959. Les asked the science teacher why Superman doesn't move when he is shot at, but he falls to the ground when somebody throws a shoe at him. Can you explain that one to me, Doug?
Inexplicable, Les. I'm assuming you're close personal friends with Superman, though.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He's from Cleveland.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I'm on first name basis, Clark.
yeah.
Right.
So you should ask him yourself.
Oh, I'll do that. I'll fly over there and I will do that. Our question of the day has to do with the spectatorless sports. Did you watch any of it over the weekend? You had a NASCAR, you had golf.
I did not. I'm still holding out.
All right, I got to tell you, I got to fess up here. I was waiting for the Peyton Manning golf thing with Tom Brady. I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and then somebody said, oh, that's next week. So that shows you how up I am on things. So we asked that question of the day to our Facebook followers. Larry Pantages said, instead of watching whatever was live, I found an old VCR tape from when Classic Sports Network first came on the air before ESPN bought it and ruined the original format. Wish some entrepreneur would show the historic stuff again. Glenn Berger, I didn't watch any sports this weekend. Not a NASCAR fan, but I watched only a few holes of the golf match. I had to chuckle at the four golfers carrying their own clubs as caddies were not permitted. How about the fact they were wearing shorts? Lee Sutley, playing in front of fans is a big part of the sport. Without crowds, may as well not play. Ted Moon, it wasn't as good as seeing Bud and Terry, Paul, D-Man, Mike from Nature Stone or listening to How Come Quickies, but I'm also really a NASCAR fan. But I found the race playing on my screen yesterday. It had an awkward feel to it, but overall it was a good start moving forward towards some degree of normalcy. That was our question of the day on Facebook. Doug Lesmerises is with us. Somebody gave me a whole bunch of games, baseball games, greatest games ever played and all, and I haven't opened it up yet, but there's one I want to see, not because it was only a great game, but because I wanted to hear the announcers. 1960, the Yankees and the Pittsburgh Pirates. That, of course, Mazeroski hits the home run, bottom of the ninth inning. I think the final was 12-11, something like that. But you talk about announcers. You'd have the great Bob Prince was there, along with Mel Allen. I'm not sure you get better than that from the old days. Are you an aficionado of sportscasters, or let the games play itself out?
Oh, no, there was a time when I thought that's the way I was going. Listen to these pipes, baby. I thought I was going sports broadcasting route. I thought I was going to be the next Les-Levine. I love the announcers, and I think that the connection that people have with their local baseball announcers is one of the great connections in sport, because it's just different than any other sport. You're with them for 162 games. I love that aspect of it, and I think all of us, whatever baseball team you grew up listening to, you think about your team and you can hear the announcer's voice in your head right now. And I know Tom is that for generations is going to be that for generations of Indians fans. I mean, it's always right there with the players and the sport is that voice.
And it's also a situation where every fan feels their guy is the best there is, even though they never heard 5 other ones. Their guy is the best. Although that's one of the great things about satellite radio, that you can pick up a game in San Diego or anywhere in San Francisco. That's one of the great things about it.
And everyone, like you said, you're used to the little picadillos of your guy, right? The tone of his voice or what his home run call is. And so, to go and find other local announcers, you'd probably be like, that guy's home run call is stupid. My guy, So
yeah.
I grew up a Phillies fan, and Harry Kalas was the announcer then, and I was covering the Phillies when Harry Kalas went into the Hall of Fame, and it's like those local people, those local voices of the game, and I think it's changed to some degree because we're not on the back porch with our transistor radios anymore. But those local voices of baseball are an integral part of the game.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. We will take a break. We'll come on back. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your home is your most important investment, and your garage is the entrance to your home. It's where your kids come in from school. It's where your family and friends gather together. It's much more than just a garage. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic NatureStone garage floor. And every NatureStone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive gray brown blend stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's NatureStone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohio-lottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, we will have Bud Shaw with us. Wednesday, Dennis Maniloff, and then Thursday, Mary Kay Cabot will be joining us. I think we'll talk some football when that happens. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. We've got some How Come Quickies that we will get to. Doug Lesmerises is with us. Doug, to follow up on your announcers, you know, you hear about guys, your buddies maybe in college or whatever, tell you how great their guy is, and then you hear him, you say, what's the big deal here? But I think it's such a provincial thing that that you just get comfortable with these guys, even though technically they're not great announcers, some of them.
No, and it's a cultural thing. It's a regional thing, and I think the best of those guys strike the right balance. I think Tom Hamilton does a great job with it. Strike the right balance of, listen, you're the hometown announcer. There's no joke about like who your allegiance is with, but yet you can do it without being an outright, cheering on the team. And I think Tom has a great voice. I think Tom has a great knowledge of the game. I think he has a great view on it. And I think for Indians fans, they grow to trust you, right? And we talk about this like in college sports. The college players move in and out so much, the coach really becomes the connection at a lot of places. Major League Baseball, tell you what, Francisco Lindor is not going to be around here forever. Corey Kluber.
No, but right? Tom Hamilton will be.
Tom Hamilton's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Not that he couldn't if he wanted to, but he's your connection. And so, that's the thing. You think about who was with you for 10, 20, 30 years. It's your announcer. And again, I know it's not quite the same as it used to be. A lot of us, my dad sat on the back porch and listened to baseball games on the radio all summer. If I was said to him, if you could meet one baseball person, he would have picked the announcer. The announcers, when I was growing up, man, the announcers were as famous as the players because it was your local connection. So I really do appreciate the towns and the cities, and Cleveland's one of them that has that.
I said this the other night, that the greatest radio call of any, well, I'll throw this out at you. What do you say the greatest radio call in any sport ever was?
Radio call?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Let me throw this at you. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I say the Russ Hodges call of Bobby Thompson's home run, which I think I've officially heard 4,000 times in my life. I think it was the perfect call because of the setup of it. If it didn't happen on that pitch, it was better because it happened on the pitch that he had set up. Had Thompson not hit the home run on that pitch and hit on the next one, he'd have to go through it all. I just think it was the perfect call. at the perfect moment ever in the history of, at least in baseball.
I did a speech on that in college. I probably should have said that one. Giants win the pennant. I always think of it wasn't a local announcer, but like Jack Buck was a local announcer who then was on the national scene in the World Series. But I think it was the Kirk Gibson home run. He said, "I can't believe what I just saw."
Exactly.
It's always a good one. And it's one of those things when it just comes out of you.
Jack is from Cleveland. Jack went to Lakewood High School here, and his son Joe gets a lot of heat for sometimes. I think he's terrific also. I mean, he obviously had an advantage getting in, as did Marv Albert's son and Ian Eagle's son and guys like that. But I think Joe Buck is terrific. I know he overwent on Kyle Schwarber. I understood he went a little too deep on that one, but I think he's a pro's pro.
But it's just changed a little bit, right? I mean, there wasn't the national scene for broadcasters. You know, there is now, like there wasn't 40 years ago to the same degree. So right now, when people say great announcers, they talk about Tony Romo. He's great, but local baseball announcers, and again, Joe Buck was doing Cardinals games too. All these great guys. I was working in Chicago suburbs when Harry Carey passed away, and it was like Harry Carey dying in Chicago. I mean, it was, people were in mourning. Harry Carey was as big as any athlete in Chicago. And that's
what a great, I never got to hear it when it happened, but the St. Louis Cardinals, when they had Jack Buck and Harry Carey, had to be unbelievable.
Oh, I'm sure, right? And you don't even realize it while it's happening, because a lot of those times you don't realize somebody's great until they're retired or until they're gone. But yeah, think about that. Just on your little local radio.
Yeah, it's still baseball's still a terrific radio game, and there's nothing like it. I can't wait to get it back. The problem with TV, as far as I'm concerned, is they overload the screen on facts that even the dieharded, I'm going to make up a word, the diehardest fan, it's even way too much for him. But then again, they have to think that they got to keep you occupied for the entire 3-4 hours of the game.
I mean, it's funny. I'm just thinking about this now, Les, and I think about this because I'm at a point at cleveland.com where I'm doing 5 podcasts a week. I did 3 podcasts today, actually, on the Browns, Indians, and Ohio State. They were the original podcasts. Your local baseball announcer, the best local baseball announcer, he's doing a 3-hour podcast, and in the middle of it, he says, foul. He's just talking about his team. He's telling stories. He's talking about what the guy in the dugout said. He's talking about what he noticed. Ball 2. It's not about the action. It's about the story of a baseball game. And people love podcasts now. People love a show like yours. We could do this show right now and have a baseball game going on. You could say ground ball to short, Lindor up, throws to first, out number 1. And then we keep talking.
Yeah, I don't think you have to say ball 1, ball 2, strike 1, whatever. Just talk. That's one of the beauties of the game, which, by the way, you're gonna lose as fans with the seating that they're going to have. You can't talk baseball with your neighbor, and that's really one of the good things. I remember sitting down, I was sitting next to somebody that I didn't know, and we talked baseball the whole way through, and some guy at the end says, "You guys are idiots. You're ruining the game for the rest of us." I said, when you can get to this point, when you can talk about baseball like that, you're not ruining the game for anybody.
The great thing about baseball is you don't have to pay that much attention, which allows you to have conversations, which allows you to think about other things, and you don't have to be wrapped up in every single pitch. And you're right, Les. I mean, of all the sports, just going to the ballpark is something different. And so that experience of being at the ballpark and walking around and getting something to eat, talking baseball, we'll all miss it.
I was at WHK Radio in the mid-'90s when the Indians had such a great team, and Jacobs Field had just opened, and I did a bit, dumb things heard at Jacobs Field, because you're getting 35, 40,000 people a night, some who had no idea, they were there to be seen. And one guy said, he tapped me on the shoulder, it was the top of the 9th inning, he said, "How does overtime work in baseball?" What are you doing? Somebody says that to you, you're watching a game, you're spread eagled out there, you're watching the game, enjoying the game, the heat, and the classic game, and somebody says that to you. What are you supposed to do at a moment like that?
Yeah, I don't know. Just tell them it's a 5-minute overtime, and so get ready for that after 9 innings.
Right. Unbelievable.
Right?
All right. What's going on?
Football.
What's going on with Ohio State football these days? Obviously, they have no word as to what they're allowed to do and all, but they seem to keep on getting top quality players, big names, and again, one of the top two recruiting classes in the country. Anything going on now that we need to know about?
No, it just feels like there's just momentum a little bit, I think, in college football, like there is in every sport, that I think people believe they're going to find a way to do something. The big thing that's kind of hanging out there for Ohio State is they have this national non-conference game in week 2 scheduled to be played at Oregon, which is Ohio State's going to be a top 2, top 3 team in the preseason. Oregon will be a top 10 team. That's a huge non-conference game. It's hard to maybe wrap your head around. Will college football be able to do that in the second week of September? But I think people, we talked to some players last week. They said they'd do anything to play. You have to be careful because these guys are amateurs. They don't have a union looking out for them. We've got to remember that even with more so than the pro sports, safety come first for these guys. But it feels like it's still complex, but they're going to figure out a way to have some kind of season.
Yeah, I don't know how they can do it. If you don't feel safe enough to bring the students, not the football playing students, but the students of the university, if you can't bring them back because you're concerned, I don't know how you can ask guys to go out and play football. So we'll see. Hopefully we get a resolve quick.
We need to dispense with the idea that college football players are just like every other college student.
No, they're not.
I mean, that's fiction that the NCAA has had a self-interest in promoting, and I think this proves it once and for all because, yes, Les, you are correct. If you can't go to a chemistry lab and you can't go to math class, how can you go to a football game? Well, the reason you go to a football game is because college football is not the same thing as taking college classes. And I think we all need to just voice that, understand it, and then do whatever it takes to make sure those players who are different are treated fairly.
Great job by Doug Lesmerises tonight. You can follow him with I didn't realize you did that many podcasts. Also, the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. Doug, will stay in touch and we'll get you back real soon.
Thanks for having me, Les. Always fun.
Okay, we'll see you soon. That'll do it for us. We'll see you tomorrow night. We've got Bud Shaw with us and the D-Man Dennis Maniloff. That's on Wednesday. On Thursday, Mary Kay Cavett. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.